Yay, and right there from the beginning. Hello, aloha vibes. Oh my gosh, we had to redo this one, and I'm so happy it's working because this time it's me. I'm in a national park that has zero cell service, but I'm outside a lodge. Can you see the beautiful trees? Actually, we're just in the big sequoias. And I get to talk to fellow Californian friend and paddle inspiration, Veronica Wold, today. And hi, James. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. I've been on a 2-week road trip. Van life is one of the things we'll talk about. I can't claim I'm a van lifer, but Veronica is, really is. We're going to talk about a bunch of different things. When we tried to have this last one, she was working full time. She was in ER where she's a nurse. And hey, from Brazil. Oh, I just love that so many people sign in. So much fun. So my husband retired a week and a half ago, and we've been on a 2-week road trip since then. Aw, so sweet, Juliet. But I can't wait to talk to Veronica. Of course, it's based on our love of water, our love of stand-up paddleboarding, but so much more than that with her. Such a positive attitude, and she's had some tough stuff in her life. She's an avid paddler, but sup surfing, I know, is one of the things she absolutely loves, and I see a bunch of her buddies on here. She has quite a great group of ladies and men who stand-up paddle. So I haven't seen... but I'm not looking carefully enough. Juliet, do we have? There she is. I'd like to follow her. So stand-up paddling isn't her only passion. We can talk hiking today too, Veronica. But everybody cross your fingers right now because I know yay! She's outside in that beautiful sky. I'm in a parking lot, but with beautiful trees behind me.
Hello.
Yay! Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to turn it
Can
up a little bit.
Okay.
And we can hear you, and thank you for doing the test. That was perfect and made me feel better because you just never know with these things. Hopefully the kids in the lodge won't start gaming or something. Well, you have a bunch of your fans on, including me. Oh, and Mama C and James.
I see
Yeah, I
my
saw
sister.
Jenna.
My sister too.
Good. We got to meet your sister last time. So unfortunately, last time when you were working full time in ER, it just didn't work. They had too many walls up or whatever. But excited that you were willing to take the time. And one of the big changes in your life is that you've gone part time. We'll talk about that too. But I always like to start, even though there's so much to talk about within and outside of paddleboarding with you and just your attitude, your positive view on life. I do want to start with the water part. Like, did you grow up around the water? Was it something your family brought to you, or how'd you start?
Oh, heck no. Well, I grew up I was born in Northern California in Monterey, but
Nice.
My parents moved down to Orange County. And we lived in Orange County till I was about in elementary school. And no, nowhere near the water.
No.
I'm a total geek. I like science, electronics, anything, astrology, nothing, no athleticism here at all. And never near the water because I was always afraid when we went down to Huntington Beach a lot, I was always afraid that the water was going to take us out and we wouldn't come back. So I was never near the water up until I moved to Dana Point in 2009. A life event happened and I happened to find a place here and I moved here. And it was about 4 years before I lived 2 miles from the harbor, and it was about 4 years before I even went to the harbor. And I went to the harbor and I saw somebody paddling at Baby Beach. And I thought, gosh, that looks a lot of fun. So I rented a board from Diane's shop, Westwind.
Mm-hmm.
Westwind, yeah. So I rented a board from there and bought a board, an all-around touring board about a week later. So that was like 2014 around. And I had no idea that there was this whole big SUP community that had already begun like about 2009, 10, 11, right around there. So in the early beginnings. So it was nice to jump on board. No pun intended, but yeah. it was nice to jump on board with the PP Sup.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah,
great that you didn't have a water background but found the water. I think that's
yeah,
happened maybe quite a bit in the pandemic too. Seems like we have a whole bunch of new people
yeah.
out and about. But you've been at it for a while and you've really challenged yourself. You know, you've been very public about you've had quite a few challenges in your life and joys in your life. You're a grandma of what, 4 or 5 kids?
5 kids.
Five. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm jealous. That's wonderful. So you have wonderful friends. You're wonderful, but you've had especially health challenges in your life that you've been open about. And I hope you're sure looking wonderful. But I believe you're in treatment right now, aren't you?
Yes. So this is my third round of cancer. I had stage 4 ovarian cancer, which almost killed me back in oh gosh,
Mm.
'89, and then a bout of breast cancer in 2008. And then this is the third cancer, 2008, stage 4. Technically, it's stage 4, but I'm already done with a lot of chemo treatments. I'm at hopefully the very end of my radiation treatment right now. But mind over matter really does a difference.
Yeah.
We Yeah, so a positive mind. When I graduated, I was an electrical engineer before I became a nurse. And so when I became a nurse and got my bachelor's degree in nursing, my thesis was about cancer cells and
Wow.
how they respond to a positive mindset.
No, that was really your thesis?
That was my
Wow.
thesis. Yes. So you can spot a cancer patient a mile away. They're down. It's very depressing, correct? So if you have a positive mindset, it changes the physiology of your cells, and they respond with strength and vigor, and that's what you need. That's what the body requires. Yeah,
Wow.
along with nutrition.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's just a beautiful thought. Maybe let's tie that in with water. Do you feel like water has given you inspiration or strength or
Yes, it really does. I mean, there's as you know, there's all kinds of studies with the salt water and how that helps people mentally, and it also helps people physically because of the saline, the salt water itself. Our body is made of 90% saline, which is ocean water. So all of that invigorates us, and just to be on top of the water and visualize all of that really does help the mind. Plus, Mother Nature, you don't get to choose what Mother Nature brings you, right? So you have to choose how you decide to deal with it. So if there's a bad day on the water, you can decide if that's going to invigorate you. You should allow it to invigorate you and strengthen you. Does it give me strength? No, it's very difficult paddling and surfing. I really have to choose my days, and sometimes I have to get on the water just because it's been a bad day or a bad week at work. And so the water really just allows me to come to myself and be uh, be alive. And it sounds so cliche, but somebody had recently told me that um, when the water is stable, you're stable. So um, so when you look at the water when it's not so stable, then it will either invigorate you or will not. So so
and you probably had both.
yes.
But you have taken on learning one of the hardest. Surfing is not easy. It's always different and it's exciting in that way. But that's not the easiest type of paddling. And you're a sup surfer and you've really conquered it. You have a group of seems like friends. I don't know if you started with them or started on your own. I think that's
No,
awesome.
no. So back in it had to be about 2015. I discovered Doheny Beach and people surfing out there, and that looked like fun. But I knew I couldn't get into it because whenever I do something, it's 1,000%. I commit 1,000%, which is why I can't do OC1. I can't get one because if I start with that, I don't have the time to train for that. So, but a girlfriend, Stacy, she really helped me. Every week we decided for a year, every week we would go down to Sano, no matter what the conditions were, big or small, windy or glassy, it didn't matter. We were going to go out. And that really helped me a lot. Every
Yeah.
Friday we committed, and we would go out, and if it was a bad day, I always learned something because she really taught me a lot. And then we got into the training camps at Nasara. We went to in Costa
Nice.
Rica. We were all pretty much beginners, and we got into that, and that was just phenomenal because we surfed in the morning and then we surfed in the evening, and for like a week, and we got great coaching from Nate and his friends there. God, that really inspired me to like be better and just have more fun at it. Now I can't keep myself away from that place. Or
Oop, there you're back.
yeah.
Lost you for a second. Oop, you're back. Sorry. We occasionally lose you just for a little bit.
Okay.
So Nasara surf camps, learning how to surf, amazing. I agree.
Yeah.
Sometimes that consistency and having, a partner in crime to get you to go every Friday definitely makes a big difference. So
Yes.
30 years of ER nursing, and now you're going part-time, which is great. We
Yes.
want you all to, to keep getting healthier and healthier and take care of your health. But I have to move away from water for a minute because you're such an outdoors person. Hiker Chick 9 is your
Yes.
Instagram that you're on right now.
Yes.
So talk about maybe just outdoors in general for health.
Well, the outdoors has always been my escape because I've been an ER nurse for 30 years. It can be very challenging, to say the least. The things that we see and the things that we do, you couldn't even imagine. So being in four walls, in a building, doing it, like going to a theater, I don't watch movies. People talk about movies. I don't know. I think the last movie I saw was maybe Avatar. I don't watch movies. I don't watch TV. I'm into sports. But that's about it. But outdoors, I thought, well, maybe since I should change my hiker chick to sup chick or something like that because I surf more and paddle more than I do hike. But yeah, I started when I moved to Orange County again in 2009. I started hiking. I was hiking before then, but I wanted to discover new places, which is key, just to discover new
Mm-hmm.
places and challenge yourself. And unfortunately, like my mom doesn't like, I usually went solo. That was I always went solo, but I was always prepared, for worst case scenario. But, I've always told my friends that, I try to be an inspiration to my nieces and my friends who don't think that they can do anything. They don't think that they can do anything athletic, or I don't think I can hike that mountain. It's too hard. Well, you build up to that. So, I've hiked every mountain in Southern California, and a couple of my favorites are Mount Baldy and Mount Whitney. That was
The biggie.
we did. Yes, we did Mount Whitney a couple times with my son and my husband, and the only one that I haven't done that it keeps haunting me everywhere I go. I see this mountain is Saddleback in Orange County. I
And that's
see
one of
that.
the closest ones. Yeah.
I know. I keep seeing that everywhere I go. But just the being outdoors and being in the trees um, makes everything stop. And because there's so many things that go on mentally in my head dealing with ER nursing that sometimes I just need things to be quiet. Like my husband will want to talk about how my day is. I'm like, no, I can't talk about it right now, or it's not the time, or sometimes I just want peace and quiet. And that's really what propels me to go outdoors, because the vastness, even the desert. Oh my gosh, the desert. You wouldn't think the desert is alive, but
Mm.
you see a tiny little desert flower, and how does it thrive way out there with seemingly no water? But it does. So,
Yeah.
um,
Wonderful. Well, I think
yeah,
Saddleback, James has already said, let's do it, V, and I'm in too. I haven't hiked the Saddleback, so
yes,
let's make a date. You're not going to be doing that one by yourself, even though it's good. I mean,
yeah,
I do like solo time too, and I know safety wise, it's always good to have a buddy. But there's also the solitude is a beautiful thing, and if you prepare and are safe and know what you're doing and let people know where you're going, I think it's totally valid. I want to
yeah,
share another one of your gifts, and James
yes.
is one also. You are a great photographer, and you often like the paddling groups. Sometimes you come up and take a bunch of pictures at 6:30 in the morning. We so appreciate that. How'd you get into
Yeah, you
photography?
know what? Oh, I think it was just a fluke, really, because when I moved to Dana Point and I would walk down to Salt Creek and watch the sunsets, that's what inspired me, was those sunsets. So I, started my Instagram Dana Point Sunsets, and then it just went from there. I'm not really a good photographer, but not like James. He's got all the big equipment, but I do use I did have a Canon phone or a Canon camera, but that got stolen. But I mostly just use my phone, and I like to sit on the sidelines and watch you all paddle in the harbor. And I remember when we first started PP Sup, I think back in 2014, Anthony and Candace gave us nicknames. And my nickname was Shutterbug because I like to take pictures. And one other quick story, when I did my first Hano Hano, I have a waterproof camera, and I carried it during the race.
During the
And
race.
during the race, and as I was watching all the elites and everybody, of course, I was at the back. I was taking pictures, and I remember somebody telling me, like, "Put your camera down, stop taking pictures." But it's such a great vantage point to be on the water
Yeah,
and taking pictures. I mean, you could and taking pictures of those, elite athletes just pounding it, and their facial expressions and their form and all of that. And
that's great. Hey,
you
you,
wouldn't
you
have
know what they say? The best surfer is the one having the most fun. And that I think applies to paddling. And, if it makes you happy, then why not? And you also make other people happy with what you do and what you share. So I think all of that is just fantastic. Let's go back to the beginning, because PP Sup, we have both been a part of. You're wearing the hat. I was not at the very beginning, but you were in the very first month. Wasn't there like a
yes,
golden shell or something you guys all have who joined in the first month? Is that what it was?
yes, they gave, yes, I think it was like awards. They gave awards out, and or they nicknamed us. And Anthony and Candace
Yeah,
had this. They painted this shell, and they gave us each one. I still have mine in my trailer, so it's kind of cute. But I can't remember. Maybe there was like 8 of us. Anthony calls us OGs. We're the OGs
yep.
of the
Original
PP
gangsta.
stuff. We're
That's
still
right. You're,
and we're it's so nice because we're still a part of that group,
yeah,
still
I do think it's
included in the.
wonderful. Yeah. That Anthony, anyone who's ever been a part of it, even if it was for a short time, are still on that master Facebook group, which I think is really special. I do,
Yes,
we talked about being solo and what that brings to you outside, but also the community of paddlers and people who love being on the water or being outdoors, I think is such a special part of what we do. Now, last time when we were going to do this interview, you had just won something big. We had just been together at USA Surfing's once a year event that has SUP in it. And
Yes.
you were defending a title that you had at one point in time, and you came back and you are the Masters SUP surfing champion under USA Surfing, right? But again, I go
Yeah.
back to that. You just have this like gutsy, just go for it attitude, because those are not easy waves. And although you're a good surfer, you haven't been surfing for your whole life or anything. And it's a
No.
shortboard wave that I look at and go, I don't want to surf.
Yeah.
I like my
So,
Santa longboard waves for stand up, but yeah,
this
talk about that experience. You've done it a few years.
yes. So I remember going out in 2013. Or no, sorry, I'm getting my dates wrong. 2017, and Anthony Vela, he was doing some announcing, and I was just sitting on the sand, and he's like, Veronica, next year I want you to go out. I'm like, oh no, I really don't know how to surf. And so that lit something in me. When somebody gives me a challenge, that just like, well, maybe I could. So I practiced and I practiced, and I did enter in 2018, and it was huge. It was huge. Those that were there, Candace, let me see, for the elite, it was Candace, April, I'm forgetting names. I'm really bad with names. Anyways, but it was huge that year. And I won pretty much by default, but because there wasn't, a lot. Yeah, it was exactly Aloha Vibes, Jennifer. It was 7 to 10 feet. It was huge. And I saw a wave, and I thought, okay, this is it. This is it. I was on my first surfboard, which was a boga. I was on a boga, and I saw this wave, and I thought, oh boy, this is it. I better catch it. And I caught it, and I think Jennifer was there. I caught it, and then it closed out in front of me. And then I thought I was dead. I just thought I was like, it was huge. And anyways, I didn't know at the time that you had to catch two waves. You had to have two waves to score. So I had to get back out and go get another wave. But what had happened, that wave broke my board down the stringer, not across, but down the stringer. So my feet were like this.
Oh.
But I caught this tiny little inside wave, and it was like a point, I don't know, 0.7 something, whatever it was. and then I won. So that was 2018. And then
But you did it. You got out there and did it, where I think most of us would have said, too big, can't do it.
Yeah.
What?
That was tough.
Have you always been a goat for it person, or have the challenges in your life made you maybe more?
Well, yes. When I had cancer back when I was 22 years old, I had just graduated from Cal Poly Pomona, and it made me appreciate every minute, every second, all the time. So it's a blessing, but it's also been a curse because I get bored very easily, and I have to do something. I have to be doing something. And so that can be a curse. Oh, I think I see there you go. So that can be a curse also because I have to get out and do stuff. And, doing those kinds of things, getting outdoors and doing it alone, that takes away from other things, right? So there's always a balance that I have to find. And that's key when you have a family. I don't think I could have done it, as I was raising my son. I don't think I could have done that. There's, you have to find your priorities. Certainly now with grandchildren, there's also that balance. But I'm blessed that my my son has a good life right now, and um, so yeah, finding that balance is very challenging. But you only
Yeah.
live once. I don't know who. I think there's a board or something, that a YOLO, and it's
Mhm.
so true. You only live once, and so why not? If you're thinking about doing something, a lot of people have a bucket list, right? And why wait? I hear a lot, oh, I think I'll do it when I retire. Or I think I'll do it, next year. If you have the time, make the time. Some people just choose not to make the time, but if you have the time, just do it. Just go and show up and go out is what I like to say. Is just go, show up, and go out and do it. Because some people like to collect things, and I do too. I think I have like 6 SUP surfboards now. But I mostly like to collect experiences and
Mm,
moments,
yeah.
and not the biggest and the best, of this and that. And those are great, but I'm at a different time in my life, and I had all of those things, and those are not my priority anymore. Just to have fun right now, because
Yeah.
nothing lasts forever.
Oh, all kinds of great advice there. But it is true that these moments and experiences that we love to have sometimes take a little bit of equipment. So maybe share, you said you have quite a few surfboards now. And there was a question, sorry, I forgot who asked it earlier. What's your favorite board? So maybe tell us about some of the boards you have or have had.
Okay, so I had my Boga, and then that was an 8 9, and then so I don't have that anymore. That's put away because it's broke. And then I got a Nash 9.6. I rode that for a long time. That was a great board. But I still have that. And then I bought my first custom Kings board, which is an 8.5 by 28, and it's 115 liters. And at the time, it was pretty small, but Dave Dom said, "No, you're ready." I'm like, I don't think I'm ready, but um, so I've ridden that for several years now, and then I acquired Jason Meffy's round nose blur.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I like that one. That one's a good all around board. I can't remember how big it is, but it's pretty nice and stable. So I have his round nose blur. I told them years ago. I said, if you ever sell that board, I want it. I just like the colors. So I acquired that board, and I was gifted a Infinity, um, oh, a Beeline board. So that's my most challenging board. I believe it's an 8.2, and it's my most challenging. Yeah, it really has to be big and glassy for me to enjoy, being on the water with that. Otherwise, I'm in the water most of the time, which is okay. And then my all-rounder that I just bought this year is a long board. It's Kings, and it's 9.0. And so 9.0, I think by 28. And that'll go anywhere. That'll ride anything. I just love that board. So, but I still want one more, which is, the Infinity New Deal. That's all the rave right now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'd
Yeah.
like I'd like to get me one of those.
Yeah, I don't have one, but I've tried other people's. I like that one too. About a 9.
Yeah.
Yep. Good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So great equipment. Love that you've found so much joy in surfing. In that go for it and adventure, you also, and kind of aspiring to be what you do in the whole van
Mm.
life thing and living in different places. And you talked about exploring.
Oh.
It seems to have led you to, you've shared with us, like Lake Paris that I haven't paddled on is one that you go to, or you seem to be,
Yes.
I'm amazed that you're everywhere because you love Sano. I see you at the beach, but then is that a big RV? Or is it hard?
No, well, it originally started back in 2016. Oh, can you? Yeah, maybe. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so it started in 2016, and all I wanted to do was surf. So my father had I call it the vintage trailer because it's an old relic, and it's barely holding together, but it was perfect. So we lived in that maybe 20-foot trailer full time. We left the condo, left the four walls, and moved into the trailer. And we had to move like every week. Every week for 4 years, we were
Wow.
going from campground to campground. I was still working. So during the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday that I was working, we would go inland, camp inland, Lake Paris, Lake Silverwood. There's a tons of regional parks inland that you can camp at. We would dry camp, or we were sometimes we were fortunate to get full hookups, but not so much. And then during the weekend, when I was off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we would come to the beach from Ventura down to Coronado, all the different beaches, so that I could surf. Yeah, so I could surf all these different waves, and so we did that every week. Sometimes we had to move twice a week, just depending. And that was my job, was to get on the website, Reserve California, and the joke was, honey, where are we going to be next week? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know yet. So
Well,
that was the fun part. And so yeah, that was definitely an experience. It's not like it just kind of evolved. We didn't plan on doing this. It just kind of evolved that way. It started with my son taking us out to the desert, and then the desert for New Year's, and then there was Hano Hano, so let's go camping down at Coronado. And then the one big thing was back in 2017, my first Carolina Cup. Let's go camp cross country.
that's right.
So
I
we
forgot you did that. That was big.
So yeah, so we trekked all the way across country and made it there in 5 days, and then we had 30 days to get back. And so we did Carolina Cup, and then so since we had 30 days to get back, we're like, well, the country is our oyster. Where should we go? And it just so happened the following weekend after the Carolina Cup, there was the Key West Classic down in Florida, and it was their 20th anniversary. And so I hooked up with a couple of people to do a relay around Key West, and then so that was fun. So it's the adventure is always going to different places, new places. Place I've traveled before I moved to Dana Point to a lot of places all over the world, but I never went on the water. Now I want to go back to these places like Paris, like London, and go paddle the waters there, like
Yeah.
Norway or the Philippines, and just go paddle and get the water perspective. Yeah.
Well, I love your sense of adventure and that you have done so many, but there's always the bucket list. I always say my list keeps, even though I'm checking things off, it keeps getting longer because you learn about and hear about more places and like what you just said, maybe you've been there, but the whole new perspective of being there on the water and to look back at, yeah, I've really enjoyed the city paddling more than I thought I would, to see like
Yeah.
iconic things in a city, but from that river that runs through the middle of so many cities, or from the ocean, whatever it is. So
Right.
cool. Are there other types of paddling that you want to do? So surfing and paddling and racing you've done.
I did try the whitewater raft, or that's not rafting. I did try the white water paddling,
Stand up paddle
and
boarding.
that's
Mhm.
surf. Yes, that was quite a challenge, but I was afraid of all the currents and the rapids, and I think I fell a few times. And that was, I don't think I'll do that again.
That was a little
But
too
it,
much, huh?
yeah,
But you
it
did
was,
it.
yeah, up in Sacramento, where that one gentleman, he teaches
Oh,
and takes
yeah.
people down the river. Um, he does that.
David with the E, right? David?
Yes,
Was it
yes,
maybe with David?
David.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I joined him up
Well,
there and paddled, so that was fun. And being in a surf stance really helped. But
and
the
challenge
other
and
thing,
challenging, and definitely
yeah,
spend a lot of time in the water like surfing. But there's
yes,
rocks.
yes, yes.
You got to have
David,
all
oh
the right
yes.
equipment for that one.
James says his name is David Sartoni.
Sartoni. Yeah.
Yes,
Hmm.
yes.
Yeah. Great guy also. Yeah. So, of places you've paddled, and you have paddled a bunch, you talked about ones you would
Yeah.
like to go back and paddle, but what are some favorites?
Oh, I do have some favorites. So, the gorge, I did that one year,
Yeah.
and my husband was like, "You're gonna do what?" I'm like, "You're gonna do like the Columbia River? That's crazy." So, that's something that place up there is and the community up there is very, very special. They're
Hmm.
special, special people. And that river, um, it provides, that wind, and it just propels you along, and it challenges you. But that was my favorite because, yes, I did get blown off my board, and there's all that safety stuff, but I got catapulted right off my board, and it was difficult and challenging just to get back because I had this huge my Kobe vest on, so that was a challenge. But just being up there with friends was fun.
Yeah.
So, and we got to do that several times. And if you don't think you can do it, this is what I tell my nieces all the time: if I can do it, and I tell everybody, if I can do it, then you can do it. Because I'm nobody special, but if I can do something, then anybody can do that, especially like the gorge. The other one was another favorite, and is Lake Powell. Lake Powell. So because of James had a recent river trip, and he posted that, and I'm like, oh gosh, I got to do that. So we did the horseshoe bend,
Mm.
and you get a different perspective when you're down there on the water, and all the everybody else is standing on top. Yes, way up there, and you can camp down there. So if anybody wants to go, I'd love to go again because I just couldn't get enough of that place. Besides, Lake Powell itself is, and the shop up there, Lake Powell Paddleboards. If you haven't done, if you haven't been there, you should go there because those people are great too. So welcoming up there,
Hmm.
and the landscape is beautiful in the canyon, and the water is, the water levels are coming down. So don't wait too long. Just go. Just show up and go.
That's
And
right.
oh, one
I
more.
love your theme. What else?
One more. I went to Glacier National Park last year. Last year, we took a nice trip up there to Montana, and it was in May, so it was the road that comes from west to east was closed. It was completely closed, but so we couldn't go to the summit. So we stayed in this campground, and it's called Lake McDonald. Lake McDonald. And I did an article for Supconnect, I believe. I think it was Supconnect, last year.
Oh, nice.
And Lake McDonald. So the view of the glacier and the mountains and the crystal clear water. And one thing that's very unique about Lake McDonald are the rocks that are on the floor. They're like these spectacular sunset color rocks. And the water
Wow.
is the water is so clear that at like high noon, when the sun is beating directly down, these rocks just light up. It's crazy. And then you get,
Oh,
the clear blue sky and just a beautiful, place.
oh, that sounds amazing. I'm gonna have to remember that one. Adding that one
Yes,
to my bucket list. Well,
yes.
you basically taught yourself to do a lot of these things and have had, again, this go for it and positive attitude. How about sharing some tips, like for someone who wants to get started sup surfing? Um, what are some things you would tell someone to think about? What are a few things?
Oh, okay. So one thing that was very helpful for me in the beginning was I watched a lot of videos. I watched a lot of videos because footwork is key. Where your where your feet are when you're trying to catch a wave, if they're parallel still, you're probably not going to catch a wave. So straight in line, and I still have trouble with that. But I watched a lot of videos over and over and over and over again, and three people in particular I watched who were surfers at Sano, Cheryl and Gina and Christine. I watched their videos over and over. So I try to share my videos when I can so that maybe people who want to try it can look to see, where my feet are, where my paddle is, and where I'm looking. And then the other tip is your board size really makes the difference for the conditions. I used to make fun of my brother who is a triathlete who did the Ironman triathlons, and he had all these different road bikes, and I have like 6 up boards, and they're for all the different conditions. So your board is your board is key as far as what kind, if it's going to be a big wave, a big day, or windy. Your board really makes a lot of difference. But the biggest difference is just going out. It's just going out and learning. Like I can teach you on land what to do, but that's not really going to transfer in your mind until you actually go out there. You won't really get it. But then when you do it for the first time, you're like, oh, that's what she was saying. That's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Great tips. Get out there and do it that's the theme of this entire time talking to you. I love it. Go do it.
Yes.
Well, and
Yes.
your friends, James and Jennifer, both wanted to throw in a couple tips too. James says, don't use a coiled leash. And Jennifer says, get low. Also, both
Yes.
excellent pieces of advice.
Yes. Yes. I wanted to share where we're at.
Oh,
I'm at Tahiti.
oh, nice.
Yeah. So this is where I learned how to sup surf with my friend Stacy and I. This is where we caught our first wave, and I swear it was a huge wave, but it was an ankle slapper. It was it was so small, but I swear I thought it was gonna fall off. But yeah, this is an excellent beginning beach for those that want to try.
Yes. Great place to learn to surf, regular or stand up, as is Sano. But I
Yeah.
think, yeah, Doheny especially accessible. Oh, Infinity Sup World, you missed her talking about all her infinity boards she has and wants, amongst others, Kings and
Yeah.
everything else too. Yeah. Yeah, that's so fun. Getting started
Beautiful.
surfing, sup surfing, any kind of surfing is so special, I think, because Mother Nature is so involved, because every wave is different, but there's nothing like that feeling. Well, the gorge, I think you had it too with the wind. When the human powered or the nature powered, whether it's a wave or wind, I think is amazing when you feel like you're part of it, or you get some control of it. And I've seen that look on your face surfing, like that joy that it brings when you're whooshing down
Yeah.
a wave.
Yeah.
It
And
can
what
bring lots
I
of other
remember,
emotions. It brings other
yeah,
emotions too, though, right? Sometimes.
I remember when I first started, I took take a clinic if you can, but I took it wasn't necessarily a clinic, but it was a meetup of people who wanted to learn. And it was down in Oceanside with Tom English. And this
Nice.
was probably 2014, and I didn't even have a wetsuit. I was just wearing shorts, and everybody else was in their wetsuits. I'm like, I didn't even know what a wetsuit really. Where could I get a wetsuit? Anyway, so that's where I met JC, and she was she was helping me during that time, during that day, and she kept saying, of course, paddle, 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 but she kept saying it's okay, like loosen up, like it's okay to fall in, like once you
Mm-hmm.
fall in, then you'll be more relaxed. So it's okay to fall in, just
Yeah.
fall in, and it's just water, and this is a water sport, so just fall in.
I think
That
that's good
really,
advice for whatever you're doing, not even just surfing. I mean,
yeah,
paddleboarders need to know how to crawl back up on their board, and they need to know to be comfortable in the water. So even if you're just going out for a cruise, fall in sometimes. Jump
yes,
in. Enjoy the
jump,
water too. Yeah.
yes, yes.
Well, you just like yesterday or the day before got back from what looked like an amazing adventure. Talk about different groups and finding them. And so Bruce Stavron like has a boat now or something and took
Oh,
you
okay.
guys on a Catalina trip.
Yeah, so back in January, I belong to a Facebook group, and you can join them too, called Kabanui, Kabanui, and I'm part of that group, and I posed a question in the group that asked, has anybody paddled in camp? I was thinking camping, paddled in Camp Catalina before, and there was one particular girl said she had, and then Bruce chimed in at some point and said, hey, we could charter a boat, and we need at least 10 people, and we could do this, and he's a captain, so he knows how to do that. So we chartered, there was 8 paddlers. 4 of us were from the Kabanui group, so we had a little bit of experience, and then the other 4 were from a San Diego meetup group that Bruce was connected with. And so they just wanted to go just as a recreational, not really just to go. They wanted to go on the boat, I think. So, and then there was Bruce and his lady friend. And so we wanted to go around the island, paddle. The goal was to paddle around the island completely.
Wow.
So we left, I think, on the 5th or the 4th, and came back on the 9th. And our goal, the island is 44 miles around. And so we were going to start at Avalon and head our way north to Two Harbors,
Mm-hmm.
camp at Two Harbors, and then go all the way to the northern end, and then go to, and not camp, I'm sorry, we're going to sleep on the catamaran, and then we went all the way around to the other side of Two Harbors, the isthmus, and so that was a good 13-mile paddle. And then we left, I think day 3, we left from isthmus, and we paddled south as far as we could, which was about 10 miles. And then the last day we paddled from that point that he picked us up, and we paddled into Avalon. So it was 4 days of we had nice conditions on the west side, but on the east side from Avalon and Two Harbors, it was really, really, really rough. It was quite windy, and I heard just the opposite, that the other side
Was
was
going
going
to
to
be,
be
yeah.
more exposed, and it was going to be windy and rough, and just be careful. And we tried to paddle in groups, but one person got lost, and we lost her. Luckily we found her, but she wasn't she paddles a lot faster than most of us, so she kind of went ahead, and that's okay. But just a little miscommunication, and luckily we found her okay. But it was quite a challenge, and those are the kinds of adventures that I like. I've never I made a like a bucket list, a little tiny bucket list at the beginning of the year when, you know, I wasn't sure what my health would bring me this year. And my bucket list was things that I've never done before. What are, you know, first, I need to do things that I've never done, and this is the first time I'm doing them. So, paddling around Catalina was one of them. Like, and another really short one was like paddling to the Queen Mary. I've never done that before, but stuff like that. So this
Yeah.
adventure was, um, uh, it just, like, I didn't think I could do that. Like, that seemed like a, you know, there's a lot of people out there who do all of these fantastic 100-mile, 1,000-mile voyages, but you know, doing Catalina was, one, fun. I got to meet new people, two, and we had delicious meals, three, and I got to paddle in the open ocean on these huge swells, which, you know, it's hard to take the smile off my face. And I think I was, oh, I know I was crying as we were going around
Oh,
the front, the northern end, because the swells were so big and I had never seen, um, you know, that side of Catalina before.
you did
And to
it. That's
experience
amazing.
it from the ocean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, what
yeah,
fantastic, wonderful adventures you have gone on. Um, Veronica, just keep that attitude. You know, it's going to help you get through, you know, what you've gone through. But I mean, when people don't even know you have had challenges, because you always have that smile on your face and that go for it attitude. So thank you for sharing all
mm,
some of your many journeys, and keep those bucket list checklists going, and love your spirit. Thanks for sharing. And it was so great to finally connect and make this happen.
yes,
And
yes,
I'll see you soon, hopefully, when we're back from
yes,
our, well, my trip's done in a
yes.
couple days. Back in town.
I'm
Mwah.
at I'm at Santa almost every weekend, so you can hook up with me there, pretty much.
Okay. Be
Okay,
looking for you there.
all right.
Thank you, everyone listening. What a great crowd. Good to see some familiar names and some new ones. We always love you tuning in every Thursday, 1 o'clock Pacific time, which kind of works in a lot of places, kind of early in the morning, in Australia, I think. But and late night. Next week, we have Brendan Prince, who just set a big record around Scotland. So we're going to have somebody from
Wow.
the UK. I think it's 8 p.m. his time when I'm interviewing him. But remember, everybody, that though it was live, and we're so glad you're with us. If your friends missed it, it gets recorded. So it will be on IGTV on Supconnect. Beautiful, beautiful day in Doheny, Dana Point, California. And also then it will be on YouTube soon after that, for Supconnect with KT Outside. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.